By now you know that we love our Sunday rides, but when Aprilia calls you up and asks if you want to be one of the first people to ride their newest sport bike months before it's in dealerships, you find a way to make it work even if it's on a Tuesday. With that said, this is more of a first ride review. We got a few hours and about 180 miles with these bikes today. All street, no track, so don't expect anything comprehensive. Rather, think of this as my ability to give you three things: what's good, what's bad, and what's iconic about the 2021 Aprilia RS660. I'm not going to get into all the little details. If you want to look that stuff up, I'll have a written review, a link below for you to get all that information. But the basics: parallel twin engine. Basically, if I get to be simplistic, it's the front bank from a V4 motor. 100 horsepower, 48 pound-feet of torque, 6-speed transmission, assist and slipper clutch, and a really impressive electronic suite that we'll just talk a little bit more later. But let's get right to what's good. I happen to be a huge fan of the styling, not just for the features, but also for a little bit of clever things that they integrated into it, as well as the colorways. So there's your basic black for anyone that wants to go that way, but we've also got acid gold and my personal favorite, lava red. Both of these kind of hark back to previous Piaggio Group motorcycles. This is very reminiscent of the 1970s Moto Guzzi V7 Sport. The first 200 they made were in a colorway called Teleo Rosso. It was like a yellow-green paint like this with a red frame. Here instead we've got this very vibrant yellow-green with the red wheels. And I do think it looks better in person than it does in photographs. It's also going to be $200 more, so don't forget that. But again, this one, lava red, is my personal favorite. It should make you think of the RS250 Loris Reggiani replica. So this beautiful combination of purple and red. You don't really see purple on bikes, and this does a good job pulling it off. I love the red front wheel. I think the mismatched black wheel is a little bit of a miss. If I was to buy this, I'd probably powder coat that myself. But it's not just the colors. I think what's interesting is how they've maintained this triple headlight theme that we know from Aprilia when they originally debuted the RSV4. Now it's updated with LED lights. In addition, you've got aerodynamics that have been factored into here, not for outright top speed or performance or anything like that, but rather for rider comfort. They're trying to make sure they can extract the air, the hot air from the engine out of the way and keep you more comfortable. And they do a really good job with that, both in terms of the air temperature as well as the protection provided by the windshield. When we were just cruising on the highway doing 70, 80 kind of thing, there's no real buffeting, and I thought it did a surprisingly good job considering how much space it actually takes up. One other thing about the aerodynamics. The designer of this bike is the legend himself, Miguel Galluzzi, and while he was on a call with a bunch of us reviewers, he mentioned that in this world of aerodynamics, especially when you think of MotoGP bikes, they have these wings that come off, and he says they look like an ugly mustache that designers don't know what to do with. So if you look closer at the fairings, Aprilia calls it a double layer concept. Really what they're trying to do is tuck the wings and the aerodynamics inside. So you still get that benefit from the aerodynamic standpoint, but you don't have a pretty Italian girl with a mustache on her. Last thing on the good list is going to be the price. The MSRP is $11,299, and I think for what you're getting, that's a very reasonable amount of money. On the bad side of things, you know, I hate to be that guy. The engine makes 100 horsepower. It doesn't need more, but there were definitely times today where I wanted a little bit more. Coming out of a corner, getting heavy on the throttle, and just feeling like just wanted a little bit more drive. Now, part of that could be we spent a lot of our day today at elevation, 3,000 feet and above, so you are getting some power sucked out of the motor in that sense. But you know, maybe if you're at sea level, it's going to be okay. I wanted just a little bit more power out of this motor. It's still a very good motor to ride, and there's plenty of torque down low, so it's a lot of fun, and it's really just easy to ride when you're in town or at slower speeds, that kind of thing. In addition, so these are early production bikes. I mean, we're talking VINs 2 through 5. So they're really pre-production. I know that Aprilia's gonna be able to sort out some quirks by the time that you find them in your dealerships in December and January. But there were a couple of niggles here and there. My personal bike, my test bike today, had a check engine light that came up. The quick shifter sometimes didn't work as much as or all the time. Someone else's dash had a fuel gauge that wasn't working properly. You know, I really do, again, I think that these things will be sorted out once the bikes are ready for production, but I have to review what I'm given, and so I'm just mentioning it to you so that you're aware. Lastly, what's iconic about these bikes? First thing has to be the sound. This is the best sounding production parallel twin exhaust I've ever heard. It's absolutely fantastic, and I really don't know how Aprilia did it, but kudos to them because it sounds great. Number two is going to be the electronics package. When it comes to these 600cc, 650 bikes, whether it's inline four, parallel twin, that kind of thing, no one can compete with what Aprilia has brought to the table in terms of their APRC, the rider control. Wheelie control, traction control. In fact, it now has engine braking, which is something that even the RSV4 doesn't have. So you're getting more tech in this mid-size platform than you are on the big brother. But it does a really good job of giving you confidence when you're out on the road, knowing that you'll be kept safe, and even better, it's really quick and easy to turn individual things off, to customize. So if you want to launch a wheelie, they don't get in your way when you want to have fun like that. And then for me, the last thing is just the overall concept. Personally, I don't own a car. I just live on motorcycles. And so my sweet spot is something that's fun and fast, but also has some practicality to it. And that's why I really love what Aprilia is getting, what they're able to do with these bikes. It's kind of comfortable in the sense that it's not a full-on race bike. You're not tucked in. Aprilia mentions that when they were doing the ergonomics, they basically lined up a Yamaha R6 and a Kawasaki Ninja 650 and split the difference. And you can tell because you're comfortable spending hundreds of miles on this in a day. But on top of that, it reminds me of sport bikes from the early 90s in that they were fast, but they were also practical. You had a little bit of trunk space. Aprilia's, you can take the passenger seat off and you have a rack where you can mount an Aprilia bag or a tail bag or whatever it might be. They're even selling soft bags that are mounted as side panniers. It's got cruise control. It's got a quick shifter. They've done an incredible job blending performance and practicality. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why I would seriously consider buying this bike for myself. And I really don't know if I can give it more praise than that. Here's the thing about the 660. It's not just this bike. It is the beginning of a new era for Aprilia. We have this bike now in your dealers, December, January. But we're going to get a Tuono 660 in a few months, and then after that, a Touareg 660, which is going to be an adventure bike based on the same platform. So these are going to be huge for Aprilia in terms of their success going forward. There's a lot more that I can say about it, and I will in my written review, so go ahead and check the link in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for watching.